We're back! The New Gong Show.
Weeknights at 10 on KHTV Houston. The following program is a special presentation of the 8 o'clock movie on 39 KHTV.
Her ongoing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life forms and new civilizations.
To boldly go where no one has gone before.
Everybody remember where we parked.
We come in peace.
Battle stations.
Something's got me!
6 seconds to impact.
The Star Trek Saga, from one generation to the next. Hosted by Patrick Stewart, with interviews and appearances by members of the original casts of Star Trek and Star Trek The Next Generation, and the creator of Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry.
Eggo waffles.
My baby loves me.
And he can't hear a thing with those headphones on. Which gives me the perfect opportunity to sneak up and grab that crisp, delicious Eggo waffle.
Lego my ego.
Eggo waffles from Kellogg's. The things people will do to get their hands on one.
Clever kid.
When the stars come out to play, babe, a twinkling show, ooh, dinner out of sight. Yeah, the night time is golden light time. Big Dipper at McDonald's. Showtime, it's night tonight.
Hey, time out, sports fans. Old Willard here to kick off the football season the official way with real cheese. Take time out before the game for pregame pizza warm-ups with mozzarella. And then there's the famous quarterback snacker crackers, followed by a football hero with Swiss and Colby. Just make an end run to the store for your home team's favorite cheeses, and you'll score extra points. So don't forget the cheese.
Hello, I'm Patrick Stewart. All around me is evidence of man's phenomenal achievements in space, from the first landing on the moon to the space shuttle missions and beyond. In the next 2 hours, we'll explore another incredible phenomenon in the world of television and motion pictures, one that has lasted for over 20 years and is still going strong today. The Star Trek Saga. We'll take you behind the scenes for an in-depth look at the history of this acclaimed series, from its early beginnings to the new series, Star Trek The Next Generation. And for the first time on television, we'll present a rare color version of Gene Roddenberry's original Star Trek pilot, The Cage, recently discovered in the archives of Paramount Studios vaults. Our historic journey through the Star Trek saga from one generation to the next will begin in a moment.
I'm Jack Death. I'm a trooper in the 23rd century. I thought it was rough in the 23rd century. I didn't know how hot it could get, and it was getting hotter all the time. I guess I just attract a certain element no matter what century I'm in. Anyway, I gotta run now.
Jack Death is back. And he's never even been here before. Trancers.
Friday at 8 on 39 KHTV.
ABC Comics and Games can serve all of your comics and games needs. We have 5 locations to serve you now and more locations to open this summer. For more information, call 530-1644. That's 530-1644.
I don't believe everything I hear. I don't believe in UFOs, and I darn sure don't believe the weather report. So when Jack in the Box came out with the ultimate cheeseburger, I didn't believe that a burger with just beef and cheese could be the ultimate. Now you can call me bullheaded, but I had to see for myself, and you just won't believe how good it is.
The ultimate cheeseburger at Jack in the Box. For exciting new taste, this is the place.
Heck, I wouldn't believe me if I were you.
You know what I like about pumping up? You know what I like about maxing it out? You know what I like about the feel of weights in my hands? It's their effect on my body.
Join now for $18 a month and meet Raquel October 8th at the West University Club.
The Man's Warehouse is woolish on Houston.
Nothing feels or wears like pure wool. These two suits appear identical, but this one is 65% polyester. It's $225 at Foley's. At the Men's Warehouse for just $179, the same manufacturer's suit is 100% tropical wool. A better price, a better fabric, a better suit. I guarantee it.
14 stores, including the Gulf Freeway, the North Freeway, the Katy Freeway, Greenspoint Drive, 2 stores in Westheimer, and now open in Meyer Park.
1976 marked the era of the space shuttle, an exciting new development in NASA's space program. Although 7 years had passed since the cancellation of the original Star Trek series, its popularity endured. Over 400,000 letters were sent to Washington demanding that NASA name the first of these experimental space shuttles after the futuristic starship in the popular television series. The Enterprise space shuttle illustrates just part of the enormous impact Star Trek has had on our culture. The original series has become the most successful syndicated show in television history. In addition, there have been 4 hit movies and a new series, Star Trek: The Next Generation. Why has Star Trek been popular for so long? Well, there are several theories. Many believe it presents a message of hope for the future of mankind. Others admire its futuristic depiction of current social issues. Some simply enjoy seeing one good adventure after another.
It speaks to some basic human needs that there is a tomorrow. It's not all going to be over with a big flash and a bomb.
I never could figure out what it was, and we have spent 4 movies trying to figure out what made the original series work so well.
And if you think of them as futuristic folktales or futuristic legends, they're something that can be told time and time again, and you come back to them because, in part, they are familiar.
The only reason I can give is that, hey, it's got some kind of magic to it.
But the future of Star Trek was not always so bright. Let's warp speed back in time to see how this extraordinary series came into existence. Back in 1964, Gene Roddenberry delivered a kind of wagon train to the stars.
There was sort of a little fakery on my part, too, because Westerns were exciting then, and they could understand wagon train, whereas very few people in those days read science fiction, and almost no network executives or studio heads.
Roddenberry wrote and produced a pilot episode entitled The Cage, which you will see tonight. It starred Jeffrey Hunter, Susan Oliver, and the young Leonard Nimoy. However, the executives at NBC rejected Gene's concept, calling The Cage pilot too cerebral.
I felt that I'd double-crossed him. I'd written him this thing about where the mind went in certain ways, and they wanted someone with bare knuckles in a fist fight.
But something unique happened. For the first time in history, a second pilot was commissioned. This time, NBC was pleased with the result, and the Enterprise's 5-year mission finally took flight in 1966. Several cast changes were made, and the only survivor of the cage pilot was Leonard Nimoy's character of Spock.
I believe there's some hope for you after all, Mr. Spock.
Captain Kirk is Captain Hornblower of the sailing ships, who was a great hero, and Hemingway said it's the most exciting adventure fiction in the human language.
Hailing frequencies open, sir.
I was pleased that in those days, when you couldn't get even blacks on television, that I not only had a black, but a black woman and a black officer.
We need some repair, sir, but the ship is intact.
Scots have always been shipbuilders and ship engineers and so on.
Planet dead ahead, Captain. It seems to indicate artificial power being generated in factor 7 quantities.
Great affection I have for Asians and what they do and the important part they play in the world.
How close will we come to the nearest Klingon outpost if we continue on our present course?
1 parsec, sir. Close enough to smell them.
Chekhov came on the show because I'd read something and someone had sent me a copy of a Russian newspaper in which they said after our first year, the ugly Americans are at it again. We were the first people in space, but the Americans don't even have a Russian aboard this crew.
Within 3 months of that first season, Star Trek was in danger of an early cancellation. The ratings were shaky, and only a massive letter campaign by its viewers kept the show alive. To put things in historical perspective, let's remind you of the 60s when Star Trek originally aired. The space program was preparing for its first lunar landing. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. rallied thousands in support of civil rights. 500,000 people gathered in Woodstock for peace, love, and rock and roll. And students protested across America, calling for an end to the war in Vietnam. To temporarily escape some of the disturbing events in the world, the majority of television viewers tuned into a familiar Western or a light-hearted sitcom. Among the most popular shows at the time were Bonanza, The Beverly Hillbillies, Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, and Mission Impossible. But there was something very special about Star Trek. It was the only television show on the air that presented a future where all races and cultures worked together, where men and women explored the galaxy to better understand the universe and themselves.
Came a time when our weapons grew faster than our wisdom, and we almost destroyed ourselves.
The impact that it had on people at a given time and point in history was so strong and so positive that the future was worth living.
We were once a people like yourselves, wildly emotional, often committed to irrationally opposing points of view. Only the discipline of logic saved my planet from extinction.
The characters were dimensional, the relationships were complex. There were twists, the plots were, well constructed.
Many acclaimed science fiction writers contributed stories to Star Trek. One of the most praised episodes was the award-winning City on the Edge of Forever, a story that hurls the crew back in time.
One day soon, man is going to be able to harness incredible energies that could ultimately hurl us to other worlds in some sort of spaceship. And the men that reach out into space will be able to find ways to feed the hungry millions of the world and to cure their diseases. And those are the days worth living for.
Recognize that face? That's Dynasty's Joan Collins, just one of the many famous guest stars that appeared during Star Trek's 3-year run.
Psychiatry, Captain. My assignment is to study crew reaction in emergency condition.
However, despite the efforts to present a realistic and insightful vision of the future, Star Trek made its final voyage on June 3rd, 1969, cutting short its 5-year mission. Ironically, just after its cancellation, Neil Armstrong became the first astronaut to set foot on the moon, traveling there in an Apollo space capsule identical to this one I'm sitting in, which made the same journey nearly 2 years later.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Not only did this historic event generate a growing interest in space, but there was also a growing interest in science fiction as well. As a result, Star Trek became an immediate success in syndication.
The upsurge of the support from Star Trek fans became very, very evident. Philadelphia stations were getting ratings that were unheard of prior to 1971 when Star Trek came out.
I always told everybody that this was a phenomenal success, and even though we were verging on being canceled every year we were there, I told them, dismiss this. This is a phenomenal success, and 20 years from now, we will be making movies.
After it had rerun about 5 times, I told my wife, well, it's all over, you know, it's been nice. And I said the same thing when it ran 20 times.
I'm only joking about the fact that I said it was phenomenal. I'd like to see a smile on your face. Nobody knew nothing.
A new kind of fan began to appear. They were called Trekkies, or as they prefer to be known, Trekkers. They believed in the ideals of Star Trek and faithfully watched the series in reruns. A few years ago, one bride and groom were actually wed in a Star Trek-style ceremony.
We are gathered here together in the sight of God and in the presence of Starfleet and this gathering to join this man and this woman in holy matrimony.
Far too many people believed, and many still believe, that they're a bunch of teenagers who wear odd clothing and give odd signs and things, but they're not. Trekkers include businessmen, bank presidents, stockbrokers, college professors, and a large number of astronauts.
Before long, Star Trek memorabilia was popping up all across America. T-shirts, buttons, model spaceships, comic books, fan magazines, the list goes on for light years. And for many years, fans sent a continuing barrage of letters to the network, urging that Star Trek be brought back, but to no avail. Which brings us up to 1976, when the experimental space shuttle Enterprise, very similar to the one here on display, was launched. Coincidentally, Gene Roddenberry was hoping to launch a new Star Trek movie. The original crew had agreed to return, new scripts were written, and elaborate sets were constructed. Finally, in 1978, Star Trek the motion picture went before the cameras. Soon, Star Trek fans would have their wish fulfilled. The Star Trek saga, from one generation to the next, will return in a moment.
Enjoy extra sugar-free gum.
You get extra refreshing flavor that keeps coming through. Extra sugar-free gum lasts an extra long time for you.
Sugar-free extra is unsurpassed in fighting cavities. That's right, unsurpassed in fighting cavities. And extra has NutraSweet.
Extra refreshing flavor that keeps coming through. Extra sugar-free gum lasts an extra long time for you.
Extra helps fight cavities and lasts extra long.
This John is jumping.
Win big at Burger King with Triple Jump Checkers. Every card can win if you make the right moves. Win up to $1 million instantly, or collect to win a Pontiac Grand Prix or other great prizes. Triple Jump Checkers at Burger King. King me.
If this is your idea of a hot breakfast, think about this. In the time it takes to make coffee, you can make hot, buttery pancakes and savory sausages. Great starts breakfasts from Swanson, a real breakfast.
I was in Phoenix, I had to give a speech. While I was working on my speech in the hotel room, I started coughing. So I called down and the front desk sent up some cough syrup.
Not all cough medicines work the same.
This stuff was for kids, it wasn't for me. Then I sat down for something stronger, and they sent up Vicks 44.
Today's Formula 44 contains maximum strength dextromethorphan, as effective as codeine, but non-narcotic.
That Vicks Formula 44 kicked that cough.
Formula 44, maximum strength for maximum relief. From Vicks.
I don't want to cough again, but if I do, I'm taking it.
Oh, you're looking at a broken peanut. All I ever wanted was to get into a Fifth Avenue candy bar so I can be irresistible. But they don't want peanuts. They want peanut butter. Crunchy layer after layer of peanut butter smothered in Hershey's pure milk chocolate. It'll be a grind, but I'm gonna do it. After all, it's Hershey, it's Fifth Avenue, it's everything it's cracked up to be. And if they won't have me, I'm gonna throw myself to the elephants.
In 1979, the Voyager 2 satellite was in the process of recording some dramatic photographs of Jupiter. About the same time, a fictitious Voyager 6 was causing trouble for the crew of the Enterprise in the first ever Star Trek feature film. 10 years after the show's cancellation, Gene Roddenberry and the original cast were reunited. It would begin a new era in this science fiction legend.
The fans were wild for the idea, and I kind of liked the idea too. I was broke.
With our old friends all together again, it was a dizzying feeling. It was a glorious feeling. That, I must say, is one of the days that I will always remember.
You see an individual whom you hadn't seen anyway, for the first time, and it was strange. It was déjà vu.
I mean, we had been told in the course of the last 3 or 4 years that we were going to do Star Trek again, and each time it fell apart. It didn't materialize. So it's hard not to become jaundiced and cynical about this kind of situation. But there we were. We were really doing it, and I had this almost overwhelming desire to embrace everybody.
The first day on the set, when we were all standing there in wardrobe, and Bob Wise, he happened to be standing in the pit, he looked at us and he said, I just really realized, and I didn't until this moment, when you're on the set, I'm standing in the midst of living legends.
It was very expensive to make the first Star Trek motion picture, roughly $44 million. To put those numbers in perspective, that's equal to the cost of sending 2 Apollo space missions to the moon. But as expensive as it was to produce, the film has grossed over $175 million.
Witnessed a birth, possibly a next step in our evolution.
1982 marked the premiere of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, inspired by a previous episode entitled Space Seed. Ricardo Montalban reprised his role as the evil nemesis, with Kirstie Alley featured as a Vulcan-Romulan hybrid. This time, the producers collaborated with the special effects wizards at George Lucas Industrial Light and Magic.
I shall leave you as you left me, buried alive.
By 1983, the Star Trek phenomenon was in high gear. So much so that the fans' anticipation of the next film prompted an incredible amount of security on the Paramount lot to prevent any leaks of its storyline. And while the crew was looking for their favorite Vulcan in Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, Leonard Nimoy sneaked behind the camera and into the director's chair.
You don't have to lead them to do it. The day that they come back to work together, if you were to gather with them in the makeup department and watch them all getting their makeups on and telling each other stories about what's been happening to them since the last time they made a movie together, you'd find that it's like family coming together again and reporting to each other. So the chemistry is always there.
Christopher Lloyd played an evil Klingon determined to destroy Captain Kirk and his crew, and as a result, this movie would mark the end of the Starship Enterprise. May she rest in peace. In 1986, another milestone was achieved, the 20th anniversary of the show's creation. Cutting the cake with Gene Roddenberry is Gene's wife, Majel Barrett, who has appeared in many of the original series' most famous episodes as Nurse Chapel.
We all banded together 20 years ago to do something very positive about the future, and here we are in the future still doing it. It's a very logical idea, isn't it?
Staying true to the original Star Trek philosophy, an important social issue was raised in Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. This time, the crew is on a quest to save the whales and thus protect the future of mankind.
Admiral, there'll be whales here.
Leonard Nimoy assumed the director's chair again, and with a more of a tongue-in-cheek style, Star Trek IV reached the most receptive audience yet. Now, as promised, the moment has come to present the original Star Trek pilot, The Cage. This rare color print, which has never been seen on television, was recently discovered in the archives of the Paramount vaults. And when we return, you'll see this classic episode for the very first time.
Sarah Tobias was brutally assaulted. Her lawyer betrayed her.
I don't have a case.
The system ignored her.
You ain't gonna defend me because I'm some low-class bimbo, right? I didn't say that.
Her one chance is courage.
I get to tell my story.
There was no rape. Her one weapon is dignity.
No deals.
Kelly McGillis, Jodie Foster, The Accused, rated R. Starts Friday, October 14th at a theater near you.
Okay, you get home from school, you want brownies. What are you gonna do? You're watching cartoons. You want brownies. What are you gonna do? Here's what you do. New ready-to-microwave fudge brownies. From Pillsbury. Out of the fridge. Into the microwave. 5 minutes. Moist, chewy brownies anytime. Right, Timmy? Right, Bubby. And hey, all you gotta clean up is Timmy.
New refrigerated ready-to-microwave fudge brownies. Here, in the dairy case.
Update Houston is brought to you by NCNB Texas.
Houston will get some of the 125 jobs Phillips Petroleum is transferring to Texas from Denver. 80 of the jobs are for geologists and engineers. Houston and the panhandle town of Borger will divide those jobs. No word yet on how many Phillips will send here. And Cameron Iron Works has a $20 million option on a U.S. Air Force contract to assemble bomb casings. Cameron is a subcontractor for Lockheed in the deal.
To capture your interest, we've decided to raise ours. For a limited time, you can get our fully insured High Yield Plus CDs. But that's not all. For the first 90 days, we'll pay you a bonus rate, up to 15% APR on a 5-year CD. Now that we have your interest, maybe we've got your attention. So come by for details on all our High Yield Plus CDs. Only from NCNB Texas, member FDIC.
The Army Corps of Engineers has agreed to plans to widen and deepen Houston's ship channel. Port officials say big new cargo ships will be able to get into the port fully loaded after that. The plan now goes to Washington for approval. And grain exports at the port have increased a whopping 98%. Government programs making U.S. grain more competitive overseas are the reason.
Update Houston with Jody Sinclair.
Hemorrhoids, they hurt, burn, and swell. Over the years, more doctors have recommended Anusol than Preparation H to relieve the hurting. Anusol is the word to remember for relief.
When I think of all the mosquitoes and gnats and chiggers, I'm sure glad there's Caladril, because only Caladril contains Benadryl, the most recommended topical antihistamine for itch. Caladril can help stop almost any itch. Poison ivy or poison oak, no-see-ums, those little things that get you.
There are those times when you work for your family all week and everyone looks just so. Their clothes all clean and fresh and everything smelling so sweet and good. And someone says about your little girl, "My, she smells so good you just want to hug her." You can just feel yourself puffing up, you're that proud.
The huggable smell of Sunshine Scent Gain. It makes her mama proud.
Collision course.
Encampment number 1. This is all some sort of trap. We've lost the captain. Do you read?
The original Star Trek pilot, The Cage, will return in a moment.
earn $18,000 for your education by serving part-time in the Army Reserve.
When I'm not doing my reserve duty as a technician in the operating room, I'm in college studying computer science.
Qualify for the GI Bill, and you'll earn over $18,000 during a standard enlistment with a nearby Army Reserve unit.
I'm studying engineering in college, and I'm putting it into practice in the reserve.
When the clock strikes 6:30, babe, time to head for Golden Lights. It's a good time for the great taste dinner at McDonald's. It's Mac tonight. Come on, make it Mac tonight.
Look what's coming. Your direct line to all the goods and services you'll ever need. You'll find them in yellow. The new Southwestern Bell Yellow Pages. The one to call on for everything. Whatever you're looking for, you'll find it in yellow. The Southwestern Bell Yellow Pages. The one to call on for everything.
Remember our old hometown? Nothing to do but watch the paint dry.
I see you've made your famous tic-tac pie.
Then, one day, along came...
You looking for me?
What a bombshell! What a star!
Here's dinner.
What a cut!
We ought to have one of these every year.
Elvira, Mistress of the Dark! Rated PG-13.
Now showing at a theater near you. Check newspapers for showtimes.
The Cage will return in a moment.
My dandruff shampoo is good.
Better try something else. Mine really works.
You'd better try something else, like Selsun Blue. Doctors recommend it more than all of the leading brands. None get rid of dandruff better than Selsun Blue.
Presenting the amazing super strong straps on the Hefty Cinch Sack.
Hefty Cinch Sack.
Don't clown around with wimpy bags. If you've got a hefty load to haul, get the Hefty Cinch Sack with a super strong super cinch.
I need a moment in my day.
Yes, sir. I've got a Tuesday to
make myself ready.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And nothing's like being invisible, and nothing's better for seeing the forest for the trees. And the good to the last drop feeling of Maxwell House, only Maxwell House. That's the good to the last drop feeling of Maxwell House and me.
Deep down inside every chocolate lover's soul is a beastie. A beastie that hungers for the ultimate chocolate extravaganza. Hershey's Bar None. Chocolate wafers, chocolate cream, peanuts, and pure milk chocolate. Make Bar None the only one that will tame the chocolate beastie.
Have you ever noticed how cars mean a little more to some people than they do to others? Nissan has. That's why we build ours the way we do. We understand that a car fulfills a number of human needs. And transportation is only one of them. Nissan, built for the human race.
The Cage will return in a moment.
What's it like?
It's good. He had lessons to learn about the war.
Take him alive.
Lessons about the enemy.
That was about the best way to live the whole countryside. No road coming.
And lessons about his men.
If you can't place the right ideas in their heads, place one of these in their body.
War is hell, but this was worse. Michael Dudikoff is the platoon leader.
Starts Friday at a theater near you. Check newspapers for showtimes.
In this corner, extra strength Lysol toilet bowl cleaner. In this corner, tough stains and germs. The heavyweight has the muscle to knock out tough hard water stains. Kills germs too. Still the champ.
Extra strength Lysol toilet bowl cleaner, the heavyweight.
To see how a bathroom gets this shiny clean, you have to go back to the beginning. To fresh-scented Lysol Basin Tub and Tile Cleaner. Lysol has the power to cut through dirt and soap scum, and it disinfects. Try Fresh Scent Lysol. It's how the shiniest bathrooms get their start.
My mama used to scrub all day till our house smelled as fresh as the Carolina pine forest. I don't have all day, so I use Lysol Pine Action. The dual action top squeezes for small spaces, dilutes for big jobs. So this whole house feels like home. Lysol Pine Action, the clean of pine in less time.
I don't have to be an expert on hunting equipment. I just go to Academy. The best deals on the best equipment.
Federal 30-30 rifle ammunition, only $6.99.
Academy. That's all you need to know.
You enjoyed the original pilot episode of The Cage, which was filmed back in 1965. Now stay tuned for glimpses of Star Trek in the future, including a behind-the-scenes look at Star Trek The Next Generation and a preview of Star Trek V, The Final Frontier.
Great, Ray. That's a wrap.
Huh?
California sunshine. California sunshine. Whoa, through the grapevine. Yeah, I heard it through the grapevine.
That's sweet.
When that clock strikes 6:30, babe, time to head for Golden Lights. It's a good time for the great taste dinner at McDonald's. It's Mac tonight. Come on, make it Mac tonight. Lord, I hear that lonesome train sound like the 501. All my life it seems me and my Levi's jeans, we've been on the run.
Should your child have imaginary friends? Some theories say they help your kids by giving them a sense of control. Other theories claim that every time your kid wants to go to the movie, you may have to pay for an invisible friend. Well, theories come and theories go, but I say you give your kids lots of love and some fruity Jell-O gelatin. That's forever. May I have some?
Now let's warp speed ahead to 1988. Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, is going before the cameras. For the first time, William Shatner will handle the directing chores.
I want to tell you how it goes. Okay, once upon a time, there was a little girl, a little boy walking. I can't tell you the Star Trek V plot. That's ridiculous.
Well, we've all taken an oath. Okay. And I do intend to live long and prosper.
If you want to see a big movie in June of the summer with strange and interesting things, come and see it.
Earlier this year, Universal Studios and Paramount Pictures with Gene Roddenberry teamed up to present the Star Trek Adventure, a new attraction of the Universal Studios tour. And by overwhelming demand, this year also marked the era of a new science fiction series of which I am proud to be a part, Star Trek: The Next Generation. Many of the original production crew were brought back under the guidance of executive producer Gene Roddenberry.
On the original Star Trek, I practically
lost my family from working so many 12-hour days, 14-hour days, 7 days a week. And I said, you can't pay me enough to do that. But then they said, hey, but suppose we did it in a way in which they call syndication, in which we don't have a network. And we don't have all those people. And Paramount was saying to me, and we guarantee to you that you will be in charge of the show.
The thing that's amazed me about Roddenberry more than anything else is that he has never allowed anything to change his image of the future. Not studios, not networks, not writers like me coming in saying, come on, Gene, Don Johnson, Miami Vice, let's heat it up. None of that. He maintains that integrity to that vision.
Now let's bring you up to date with this new series. Stardate, the 24th century. 78 years have passed since the days of Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock. Much larger Starship Enterprise explores the outer reaches of the universe, and as Captain Jean-Luc Picard, I lead an expert team of crew members to seek out new life and new civilizations. Let's see what's out there.
I have no problem with following any rules you lay down, short of compromising your safety.
Riker is going to be, and he's turning into the ideal number one, who feels that this is his vessel. The captain just borrows it now and then to command.
I see color variations and complex harmonies.
Geordi is going to become engineer this year, and he is fine. He's got a sense of humor. He has a flip personality. It's a nice contrast to the other people, and a likable fellow.
I am superior, sir, in many ways. But I would gladly give it up to be human.
Data, of course, is Pinocchio. He would like his thing he wants most in life to be is a real flesh and blood boy.
You're under tremendous pressure, more than you've ever experienced. You should be proud of the way you're handling command.
Thanks, Counselor.
Troy says to the audience, human engineering is just as important as cogs and grease and all of those things. We need human engineers to make people work together smoothly.
But to have a society so intermixed with computers, it has tremendous advantages.
Wesley was built a little bit on myself at 14. I was never the genius he is, but that's a wonderful time of life.
I'm a Klingon, sir. For me to seek escape when my captain goes into battle.
You are a Starfleet officer, Lieutenant.
Aye, sir.
To have a Klingon, a savage character like this, and have him spend time in the Space Academy and learn civil behavior and so on, but still have this warrior strength, makes him a very exciting character.
Just as Gene Roddenberry was careful in casting the original series, much consideration went into choosing this new cast. I personally spent months talking with Gene and the producers before a decision was made.
It was 7 auditions over 6 weeks, so it was harder than the job has been, and certainly more nerve-wracking. But it obviously has been quite a peach of a job.
The phone rang, and it was them saying you got the job. So after I'd peeled myself off the ceiling, I started to unpack. It was literally, if they'd called, 3 hours later, I'd have been at LAX on my way back to London.
It's gratifying to me that this new cast has banded together so quickly. It's that ensemble feeling off-screen that can heighten the sense of reality on-screen.
We all sort of look out for each other and stick up for one another, and we'll all go to bat for each other.
And especially if you're going to go, which we think we are, for another 5 or 6 years, that camaraderie and that warmth is there.
And this season, 2 new crew members will beam aboard the Enterprise. Diana Muldaur will portray the ship's new chief medical officer, Dr. Catherine Pulaski.
I left town and moved to the mountains, to the high Sierra Nevada, with my husband, and thought that I'd left all this behind, and got a call for this and couldn't turn it down. It was just too exciting, so here I am.
And celebrated actress Whoopi Goldberg will appear in a recurring role as a special guest star.
What she's going to play is basically a bartender in a very exciting new set that we've built in the very forward part of the ship called 10 Forward, which looks out on all of space. If you think about yourself on the bow of the Queen Mary, that's where we're going to be, right out there where it's all coming at you like this.
We discussed having bartenders who maybe would be extremely sexy and others that would be very alien. And in the midst of trying to figure out what we were going to do behind the bar at 10 Forward, we got this call from Whoopi Goldberg saying, come have lunch, I want to join your team. And it took only seconds to realize what the perfect spot for her would be.
In keeping with the philosophy of the original series, Gene Roddenberry continues to explore the social issues of today amid the galaxy of the 24th century. Among them are such problems as war, drug addiction, and the arms race.
Once unleashed, the unit is invincible.
Your own creation destroyed you. One episode from our first year, entitled The Big Goodbye, was honored with the George Foster Peabody Award, which recognizes outstanding achievements in television broadcasting. During that encounter, you may have noticed one of the ship's new technological advances, the holodeck, a 24th century extension of today's computer games. This device allows the crew to recreate any place they desire, real or imaginary. From a tranquil corner of green countryside to a jazzy New Orleans nightclub. And by the way, that's no hologram. That's Jonathan Frakes actually playing the trombone. That's just one of the many differences between the original series and this new generation. For instance, the new Starship is 8 times larger than its predecessor, travels at much faster speeds, and can separate from its saucer section in an emergency situation.
I think that there was a rampant skepticism throughout both the fans and the media and the critics, and when they realized that we weren't trying to recreate Kirk and Spock and Bones.
There's a part of our psychological makeup, I believe, that is really noble and is really interested in developing, growing and developing in the progression that Roddenberry has taken us.
I've been asked the question, you've after doing all of those episodes, are there new things you can do? My God, yes. The basis of our series is the galaxy, and there's quite a few stories out there.
The Star Trek Saga will return in a moment.
Heck of a hot tub. Huh? Heather?
You need the Listerman.
How's it looking there?
Like the Dead Sea.
You're in hot water, pal. You should have used Listerman.
Listerman? That's right, Piranha Breath. Listerman has long-lasting breath protection, plus fluoride to strengthen teeth. Thanks, guys. Do I have time for a dip?
Listerman, making your mouth a cleaner place.
I'll bet I know why they made Grape Nut cereal so small.
So they could fit a lot in this little box.
They made it so small so there wouldn't be room for things you don't want.
Like a flat tire?
Not exactly, but try there's no room for added sugar.
Or preservatives.
Being all natural takes up all the room.
One might say that there is no room for improvement.
One might say that.
Post Grape Nut cereal, the one and only.
Whipping makes French food rich and creamy.
C'est bon.
It's why Weight Watchers' new à la Francais yogurt with real fruit is rich and creamy. It's French whipped. Weight Watchers' new à la Francais yogurt in the best French tradition.
There's nothing like waking up to my fresh-baked cinnamon rolls.
Oh, you poppin' fresh dough.
Oh, that's cinnamon.
Icy melting in. Oh, you poppin' fresh dough.
Tomorrow at 6 on Houston's Own 39.
Denise has a new boyfriend.
I'm not copy.
She's hiding him from me, isn't she?
Now, why would she do that?
Because she thinks I'm too rough on her. What do you think about bringing him over for dinner Friday night?
See, the medical establishment has always done a poor job of stressing the link between diet and good health.
He's an arrogant Twilight Zone.
Tomorrow at 6.
Man has barely scratched the surface of space exploration in the 20th century. Who knows what man will be exploring in the 24th? Perhaps Star Trek: The Next Generation can give us an indication. And if the ideas it presents are accurate, the future looks promising. In any event, the Star Trek saga is sure to continue from one generation to the next, as long as there's an audience that dreams of a future filled with hope and excitement.
It'll go on without any of us, and get better and better and better, because that really is the human condition, is to improve and improve.
I'm Patrick Stewart. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you in the future. If not in this century, then perhaps the 24th. Live long and prosper. Good night.
I love tortilla chips, but they can be a little heavy.
But now there's Sancheros light and crispy, cause they're made by pequeños Kebleros.
The Kebleros make Sancheros, authentic stone-ground corn tortilla chips, made extra thin, light and crispy. Original, nacho, salsa.
Sancheros light and crispy, cause they're made by pequeños Kebleros.
Pepperidge Farm distinctive cookies. Everybody thinks their favorite is the best. They're right.
This John is jumping.
Win big at Burger King with Triple Jump Checkers. Every card can win if you make the right moves. Win up to $1 million instantly, or collect to win a Pontiac Grand Prix or other great prizes. Triple Jump Checkers at Burger King. King me.
Dentists warn, the #1 dental problem isn't cavities. It isn't tartar. It's plaque, building up on your teeth every day. And no matter how much you brush, you don't get enough plaque off your teeth, especially in hard-to-reach places. The problem is plaque. The solution is Plaques. Rinse with Plaques before brushing, and you can remove 300% more plaque than brushing alone. Plaques, original flavor and soft mint, removes 300% more plaque than brushing alone.
Hello, Prologue. May I help you find a doctor?
Well, I'm very frustrated.
What you're looking at is the way 50,000 people a month are finding a doctor. It's Prologue, America's most complete information source on doctors. In all, 1,300 pieces of information on each doctor, from the schools they attended to their bedside manner. Dial 77-MATCH. It's free, and it works. 95% of Prologue patients think they've found the very best way to find a doctor.
May I make an appointment for you?
Yes, please.
Coming this November, an all-new season of high adventure with Star Trek, The Next Generation. Captain Picard and the crew of the USS Enterprise, Riker, Geordi, Data, Wesley, Worf, and Troy. Ready to take on any challenge and to boldly go where none have gone before. This year, 2 new members join the crew in their ongoing mission to explore strange new worlds and examine new life and new civilizations. Diana Muldaur is the ship's new medical doctor, and Whoopi Goldberg beams aboard as an alien humanoid in the new 10 Forward Lounge. Don't miss the all-new exciting episodes of Star Trek, The Next Generation. The legend lives on.
HBC Comics and Games can serve all of your comics and games needs. We have 5 locations to serve you now and more locations to open this summer. For more information, call 530-1644. That's 530-1644.
What's so special about Wendy's new Bacon Swiss Burger? Bacon, special sauce, Swiss cheese, more bacon, and a toasted Kaiser bun. Wendy's is the only Bacon Swiss Burger with 3 strips of bacon. Come in now and grab one while they're hot.
And for a limited time, buy a Wendy's Bacon Swiss and get a small order of French fries for only 25 cents. Only at Wendy's.
British Airways Concorde, you are clear for takeoff.
Last year, more international passengers chose to fly with British Airways than with any other airline. In fact, last year, British Airways planes traveled over 150 million miles. That's further than from Earth to Mars and back. British Airways, the world's favorite airline.
Deep in the Appalachians, they say that an act of evil shall never go unpunished. Now it begins. The terror is loose. The horror is here.
You gonna stop?
It's what you wanted. It's gotta run its course.
Coming soon to a theater near you. Check newspapers for listings. Tomorrow night at 8 on KHTV, Weird Science Week continues with Ghoulies. When college students involve themselves in the occult and weird science, they unintentionally let ghoulies into the world. They're nasty, unsightly, and they're not leaving anytime soon. Ghoulies, tomorrow at 8 on 39.